insanity. It's insanity.
Welcome back. Strong words from the governor this week as the state Senate voted to axe 8 of his appointees to various boards and commissions. The governor had appointed Sharon Adams, Dylan Jennings, Sandra Nass, and Jim Vandenbroek to the Natural Resources Board, which sets policy for the Department of Natural Resources. That board was temporarily unable to do any work until Evers made new appointments. The state Senate also handed a pink slip to Joe Zarneski, who Evers had appointed to the Wisconsin Elections Commission, who spoke with him earlier this week to talk about his ouster and what this means for the WEC heading into a very important presidential election year.
Well, there was a public hearing before the Senate Elections Committee. They basically only asked me, I think 2 questions. The main one being why I abstained from voting on the vote to reappoint Megan Wolf.
What does this mean to now have somebody new come into place, get up to speed as we're staring down 2024 here?
Well, we're months away from a very important election here in the state of Wisconsin. So I think it's important that whoever is reappointed, and the governor has already reappointed someone, be up to speed. It takes a while to learn the ropes, essentially. I was on the commission for, roughly 6 months, and I was just starting to learn how things work.
You occupy a position, or you did occupy a position that's exclusive to former clerks, people that have this kind of firsthand experience with elections. I'm just kind of curious from a broad sense how important it is to have somebody like you with that experience on the WEC.
The statute that created the Wisconsin Elections Commission required that there be 2 positions, one Democrat and one Republican, was a former either county clerk or municipal clerk, someone who actually ran elections. And I think that's very important. And I know that all of the municipal and county clerks throughout the state feel that that's very, very important to have somebody on the commission who actually has hands-on experience running elections. As Milwaukee County Clerk, I was responsible for overseeing the elections in Milwaukee County. I administered the 2016 presidential recount in Milwaukee County, which was a very educational experience for me. But I think it's vitally important that you have someone who understands what the clerks in this state go through every day when they're administering elections. Wisconsin has, I think, a great system where our election administration is decentralized, where it's run by the local clerks. And those are the people who have the hands-on experience. So I think it's vitally important that we have them on the commission. When the Republicans, rejected all these gubernatorial appointees, I think is very disappointing because Wisconsin has this great history of citizen boards and commissions overseeing state agencies, a variety of state agencies in Wisconsin government. And having these appointees rejected, I think is going to discourage qualified people willing to volunteer their time to serve the people of the state of Wisconsin in this capacity. So I think that's very disappointing.
That was Joe Zarneski, a former member of the Wisconsin Elections Commission. But he was not alone. Also fired by the Senate this week, Dr. Sheldon Wasserman, who Evers appointed to the Medical Examining Board, Jerry Halverson, who was appointed to the Livestock Sighting Review Board, and Melissa Baldoff, the governor's former deputy chief of staff, who he had appointed to the Council on Domestic Abuse. We also spoke with Baldoff about her removal. Here's what she had to say. And you alluded to this a little bit before, but just kind of getting a sense of, where do you go from here? You said you obviously will continue to be an advocate for some of these issues. What does that leave, the council?
Well, the council is, very fortunate that the governor was able to appoint somebody else to fill my spot immediately. And I know that she is going to be an incredible advocate. She's somebody with a long history of doing this work and as a leader in this work. So the council is going to be in great hands. I'm so glad that I'm going to still get to participate in a way by being involved in the committees. And it's really a critical time. And that to me is really the most upsetting thing about this whole process is as they are taking this vote to, disrupt the council's business and remove me because they don't like me and they don't like what I have to say. We just had a report come out this week from End Abuse Wisconsin that we saw a 20% increase in domestic violence related homicides in Wisconsin. We are the 7th worst state in the nation for domestic abuse homicides. This is a crisis. This is people dying. And the overwhelming majority of these domestic violence related deaths are committed with firearms. These are homicides. These are death by suicides. overwhelmingly, these are done with firearms. And this is also at a time when Republicans are refusing to fund programs for survivors. There is a tens of millions of dollar deficit in what those organizations need and what they've previously been funded with and what they are going to be getting. The governor has proposed funding these programs. The Republicans are refusing to do it, even though we have a record surplus. We've got the money to do it. So just to have this pettiness going on while we're hearing more and more about this crisis of people dying by guns, they're not funding these programs and they're not taking action on the really important protections that they could put into place, protections that are supported by more than 80% of Wisconsinites when it comes to guns. So that's things like universal background checks, red flag laws that keep guns away from people who are dangerous to themselves and others, closing the boyfriend loophole, and reinstating the 48-hour waiting period to purchase a gun. So, really, instead of telling people we don't like what you have to say on Twitter, they should maybe be focused on some of those things that are going to actually keep people safe and save some lives.